Here we go. Now we're recording.
Where are my pants?
We managed to record the entire episode last week for YouTube and without my audio, so that was fantastic. Anyway, welcome to the PARAcast. I'm your host, Tomas the Boss Hernandez. Living life large and in charge and grouping bullets today. Anyways, joining us tonight, the Vice President Joe Biden forgot about, it's Steve Koski.
My fellow Americans, I address you today.
That's one more appearance than Kamala Harris has made in a month. All right.
I undress you today.
Speaking of which, his new excuse is, I'm Italian. It's Robert Wyatt.
It is totally legal if your brother is also on CNN and will provide political cover for you.
Well, you know what's funny? I was listening to, what was it? Buck Sexton and Clayton What's His Bucket. So I was driving out to the junkyard to go shoot and group some bullets, and I'm listening to like the Saturday special of like the talk radio show from the week. And they're sitting there talking, and Buck Sexton's sitting there going, he'll never resign. He's going to fight this thing off. And then literally someone says, he's resigning right now. He's like, what? And he like spits something out, and they put it on the live feed. Because everyone thought he was going to stay around forever. And then
No way, dude. He had to get out so that nobody indicted him for killing all those old people by putting the COVID people in the nursing homes.
They dropped the case on that, so he was pretty much free for a while on that.
Somebody was going to bring that one up.
No, you want to know the Andrew Cuomo story, the conspiracy theory, what people think? People think people think he dropped out without admitting to anything wrong so that the lieutenant governor can take over, and that still gives him time to run for 2022. As in, I sacrificed myself so we wouldn't have such a big, in this time of trial, in this time of need, we wouldn't have such a big distraction. So I separated myself from it.
It does kind of speak to where our priorities lie, in which we kick a guy out of office because he made some women feel bad, as opposed to kicking him out of office because he murdered like 15,000 people.
Well, I'm okay with either one, getting kicked out of the office, but like
it was a hoax.
But the one thing is like the whole thing is like, he rubbed his fingers down my back. Anyway, it's weird. Anyway, and also join us. The sperm bank said the sperm bank DQ'd him because he didn't make Power Factor. It's Kenny Terry.
That's supposed to be a secret.
The 162, Kenny. 162. That's all you had going for you. Anyways,
so he went minor.
He went minor on the sperm count. Anyways,
I don't know that we want to touch that one.
Did a couple of you? Well, I sent, because Kenny and Robert see each other most often, so I sent 2 holsters to Robert to get one to Kenny, and then I sent one up to Steve. Did you guys get your precision holsters in the mail today?
Yes, sir.
Well, this week. Yeah.
They do look sexy.
Kenny's just looking at the website.
Andrea thanks you for her new one there, Kenny.
Yes, I asked Robert. I was like, "Hey, Robert, did you get mine?" He's like, "No, it wasn't in the box. I don't know what happened."
Fell off the truck.
Yeah. So it's like
fell off the truck, somehow opened itself, repackaged itself back up.
So I've had mine for 2 weeks or whatever like that. So I've been drawing from a lot. Like, I really like it. You guys heard what I talked about it yesterday. But now that Robert and Steve have theirs, what do you guys think?
They built themselves a nice holster. I mean, I got to give them credit. It's nice. I mean, you can. It's got the retention screws. You tighten them down, lift them back up. It's pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah, set of 2 retention screws, front side and back side. They ship them with the USPSA knobs if you want them from your website, so you can get the IDPA screws.
It makes sense. I mean, because nobody shoots IDPA anymore, so I mean, it makes sense to put it with the stuff that people
I didn't get
use.
The USPSA screws. Shut up. After I saw yours and Kenny's in the box, I was just like, well, that's pretty nice looking. All right, well, moving on. But yeah.
Why would you not get them?
Because they're not IDPA legal, and I thought I was going to shoot more IDPA.
Well, nobody actually shoots IDPA anymore.
Who's knows?
Who's adjusting their retention knobs while they're carrying down Main Street?
Well, the one thing is, I don't know. Well, I have never felt the need.
I see some shady people in a dark alley, and I'm like, hang on, honey, I need to loosen these screws up.
Loosen these up. Here we go. I'm getting ready. The one thing is, like,
nothing happens, and it's just like so depressing. I'm like, dang it, it's on my bucket list to kill somebody.
That's
not happening this week.
I have a hard time. Like that's one of those things I forget. Like you watch like those like open nationals or limited nationals where the guys have the race holster, and you always see like one grandmaster who's got like 10 area matches under his belt, like just trying to get the gun out of the thing. And so like the adjustable retention knobs is like that's something I can't play with because it'd be like tighten it up and then loosen it or whatever, or I'd forget to tighten it and the gun would fall out. So I'm very happy with setting it and leaving it.
Me too.
So
I don't ever want to play with those at a match. It's the same from when I show up to when I leave.
it's like
I like play with them while resetting, just so curious what my next draw is going to be like.
I don't
I
mind
do too.
like lifting the
While
gun
resetting.
in and out while resetting.
You lost me on that one.
But like what was also like used to be pretty fun when other people didn't see it is when you pull the hammer back on your Beretta and then decock it and pull the hammer back on your Beretta and decock it. Like you're just playing with
In
the
the holster?
Yeah, you're just playing with the
Just clicking it around in the
disqualifier.
holster?
Just clicking around.
Well, you can do that with a CZ. So you pull the hammer back, and then when nobody's looking, you just kind of like, boop, put it back in.
So let's talk about this for a second. I
Sure.
wore it around for an hour and a half today, drawing from it and shooting at light switches and whatnot. It doesn't have the tech lock back. It seems to have a newer version. It's by Dots.
Yeah, the dots
Anyway, it goes on and off a belt really fast because it's got the big button on the bottom. You just press in, and it.
Yeah, and you
releases.
could lock it.
Yeah, and then
so
if you
that it actually
slide the
can't-
button forward or backward, it locks in quite easily. So, anyway, that seems to be cool. I'm not sure how they're priced compared to Tech Lock. I'm sure, like you
sure
said,
they're
it's
a little
probably
bit less
80% of the price and 80% of the quality. Isn't that how the game is played?
Well, you get 80% of the 80%. You either get 120% of the price with 110% of the quality, or you get 80% of the price with 80% of the quality. As far as like all the other stuff that goes there, but like it's better than the Tech Lock. My favorite thing to do with the Tech Lock is whether or not you manage to get the locking mechanism, the teeth back under, and then secure it all the way before it tries to pop off the belt.
Yeah. So the main body of the holster has black towards your body, and then a color if you want it away from your body, and then it's got a thinner overlayer, we'll call it, of the what is that?
Like a carbon fiber.
Snakeskin carbon
Carbon
fiber.
fiber.
Carbon fiber print. That's a better way to put it.
Yeah.
That has the precisionholsters.com logo in it. Of course, the surrounds on the screws all match the color layer. It's very blingy. I mean, it's nice. It's got some class.
Well, the one thing too is like when you
mine
look.
were actually red. The
Yours are red.
washers.
Mine are red too,
Yeah.
but I got the red. I got the
You
red.
can see that. I don't know how you can see that, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty. It's cool. I like it. I think it's a great little design. And
Well, the one thing
it
is when,
looks good, and let's be honest. I mean, the only reason we show up to USPSA matches is to show off all of our pretty stuff that we got.
well, and
I mean,
what you look
shooting secondary. Let's be honest.
when you actually look inside the holster, like the precision, like molding that they actually go through to do it, like it's really well. And then it's pretty firm when it's actually in the holster, but when you draw it, I mean, these things just come
Yeah,
out.
it seems once you overcome the initial retention, basically the only thing that's holding in at that point is gravity, which is nice because, I mean, once you overcome that, then you're just pulling the gun out, and it's easy and slick as can be. It's a cool concept.
And then as
And
far
the
as go ahead, Steve.
the layer that's towards your body, the black layer on my holster in this case, it actually contacts the gun quite a bit as you go up your body, whereas some other holsters I've had like touch the gun they touch the front and then they touch one place at the back of the gun, where this has quite a lot of contact area. So it's well made. I really like the design.
Yeah, it's great. The other part too is what was I about to say? My favorite thing about this damn holster is when you grab a firing grip, you are not in contact with the holster. It's like you can have your whole hand on it.
That's just you and your Trump hands.
Well, look at these long witch fingers. I'm the opposite.
You can barely pick up a 1 foot by 1 foot box. You have to use 2 hands to pick up a 1 foot box.
I palm
It's
those
not-
boxes.
It's not because of his hands. It's because of his laziness.
Listen, you should see the kind of carries I can get away with, like grabbing the corner of something. I pulled a 65-pound mattress by I couldn't get to it, so I grabbed it with my little rat claws and engaged the clamps and just pulled
if you
that
had
thing
to
out
deliver-
towards the front door.
If you had to deliver a bag of dog food, you'd be calling for a team lift assist.
No, I wish there's people close enough for me to even abuse that power in the contract. Basically, all the dog food now comes in a box where the dog food sloshes around in the box and beats the hell out of the box from the inside. And that's the best. That's exactly what you want. And then when the bottom of the box is broken out, what the loaders like to do, they like to put it label up, and then they fold it underneath, and then they shove it in so they don't have to take the 3 minutes to tape it. Well, 6 seconds to tape it. So when you pull it out and you lift it up, all the dog food falls right out of it. And then that's when you get to be like, oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness. Anyways, if you want dog food, don't go to precisionholsters.com. You guys can actually check it out. They're really nice holsters, guys. They're fantastic holsters. In fact, today I went out to group some ammo and my pistols for the super shoot because guess what I'm not shooting? That's right, carry optics, folks. It's only been 9 weeks on my 8-week wait. Oh, Steve's got the uncircumcised one with the Glock 34.
What is that hanging off the end? I've never seen that before. Wait a minute, there was this guy in gym class.
So I was sitting there. I was like, I sent them an email, like, because it said don't send any emails before 8 weeks. I was like, all right, it's been 8 weeks. I'm gonna send an email. I want to check the status of my order. I haven't gotten a reply back. And then I'm scrolling Instagram the other day, and I see this text document that says like, hey, due to the high demand of the sale. They had a 4th of July sale where instead of charging $125 for a cut, they charged $80 for a cut. And so they got a bunch of business. But I sent mine in 2 weeks, JagerWorks. I sent mine in 2 weeks before the sale. And they're saying because of the sale, their lead times are even longer. And so I feel like mine happened before the sale, so I should be in a better situation there to get it back. But no. My plan was it had to be back like Friday or Saturday yesterday for me to get it mounted and zeroed and practice enough with it that I'd feel like I'd be able to go shoot the super shoot with it. So that didn't happen. So anyways, took a couple guns out, grouped some ammo, and my M&P, it's shooting 2.5-inch, 3-inch groups, and I drifted the sights, got it exactly where it was, but it's shooting like 3 inches high with 147s, and I still want to shoot it. Because that's what my precision holster is for. My other option is either my Beretta 92 or shooting the Gen 3 Glock. So, like in Ghostbusters, since I'm shooting against Steve, I shall let you choose the form of your destroyer.
Whatever gun you have not shot most recently.
The Beretta 92.
Let's
there we
see.
go.
I think it's probably a shoo-in because I'm looking at that camera on top of Steve's head, and he's either going to have to like crank down the head strap to keep it from bouncing all over the place, or his head is going to be like in the dirt the whole time. So are his shots. What'd you do? Stick like a 1980s VHS camcorder on that thing?
No, I got a GoPro 9 as a wedding present from my office, and they even gave me a. They gave
Was
me
it for shooting or for other things?
Well,
it does
for all
still do.
kinds of activities. Let's just say this thing records in super high def, super high frame rate.
Yeah.
Low light. I'm just saying.
The great thing about GoPro is you get a
If you wanna go
GoPro.
to Steve's OnFans account, it would be KKK Koski.
He's got.
I actually shot a little video at a match, but I hadn't figured out how to mount it to a hat yet, which is really dumb because it's like you drill a hole and you put a washer on it and you're done.
Yeah.
Anyway, the super shoot will be the first match I shoot with this thing on my head. So I just drilled this hole 15 minutes ago.
The one thing about GoPro is GoPro has the best video, most durable camera on the market. The problem is the form factor on the GoPro is like 60% of what you need it to be for any sport activity. Like,
What do you mean?
Like, well, it's because it's like
too big.
It's big and it's kind of heavy, but it's like super durable. So instead of having like one of the contour mounts on like the side of a hat or on the side of your ear pro, you can't mount a GoPro to the side of your ear pro
Because it weighs 1.5 pounds or something.
because it's not gonna break. It's like you got these other, like you see some of the shooting hats or some of the glasses that have the little like shoots in.
Was it the Aim Pro or Aim
Yeah,
Bot or whatever that thing
where
is?
it'll shoot in like 30 frame, 1080p. It's not going to do 4K at 30 or 2K at 60 frames or something, or 10.
Yeah,
or,
I don't even get like the desire to have like all that 4K stuff. I mean, if I suck
my
at
God.
720p, I'm really gonna suck at 4K.
I am a firm believer in all the resolutions and all the frames. Well, I would take frames over resolution because it's nice when you actually, instead of having like a 30 frames in a second, you have 120 frames in a second. And so you get to see so much more, especially when you're shooting. And like you can see so much more of the gun and what you're thinking and just the precision of what what everything looks like.
Instead
But
of
not in a real-time
720,
playback.
I mean,
Oh,
you
yeah.
would be
slow-mo
like,
playback.
hey, what was Robert thinking? Oh, in 4K. Now we can zoom in and we can see the grimace on his face as he's like, where did that target go?
Yo, well,
I
in
have no
4K,
effing idea.
4K, you can see the light come out of your eyes when you're just like, he's officially lost it, everybody. It's just like a politician that's lost the teleprompter. It's like, geez, where it's happened. But no, so Steve, you need a monitor that will display in that high of a resolution. I mean, that high of a frame rate. Most of them are capped at 60, and then you get like a computer monitor or PC monitor that will allow you to do 144, 165. So that's where you really get it. And a lot of phones will actually allow you to do in 1080p 120 frames. So your iPhone should be able to do that on the playback, but you lose that when you put it over to a TV. So, but anyways, yeah. So shot that. We'll see what happens. We'll see what I practice with. Couple things I other found out is my favorite magazines for the M&P. Back a long time ago, I saw some of these. So this is an Act Mag of Italy for an M&P. This is a factory M&P mag. You can tell by the witness holes on the side. So witness holes on the side for the factory, and then no witness holes in the back for the ACT Italy mag. And these mags were half the price. And since I had one of them, I used them for my Barney. They were my Barney mag. So in Prada, this would be my 11-round mag because it was different from everything else. And they ran fantastic, and I couldn't find them forever. And then I found that Rock Island Armory, Armscore, is selling them on their website. So instead of paying $40 for a Smith & Wesson factory mag, you can pay $20 for an Armscore, which is an ACT mag from Italy. It even comes in the ACT bag from Armscore. So all you people who want M&P mags but do not want to sell your soul and buy some ETS ones, Rock Island Armory has decent mags for you. So there you go, $20 just saved you. So that's all my griping for this week. Steven?
Let's see. I did shoot my dot. Finally, I shot the 5th Saturday steel match with LTD. I actually won carry optics, but there was not a lot of heat in carry optics. Everyone.
I was gonna say, was anybody there? Because I thought that was the same.
No.
That sounds really bad, but like that was the Area 1 weekend, right?
No, but almost everyone there, all the hot shooters were shooting limited and trying to get some practice in, and because the next day they were going to shoot that classifier only match to get classified and limited for the Utah State match. Anyway, almost all the heat.
Classifier only match.
Need those paper GMs, man.
Yeah, there was a classifier only match the Sunday after the Saturday steel match. Anyway, I won. I came in like 13th in the match or 15th or something. It was pretty fun. I had almost every stage I had where is the, oh, there it is, with the dot,
Yeah.
Like, what the, it's just, and towards the end, there was a couple stages I didn't have any, like it was just where I expected it to be, the whole stage. And then, of course, the last stage, it did it to me one time. But, of course, it's just like a quarter of a second where you're like, where's the bang? And it pops back into frame. But like Robert said, keep your target focus. And I don't know what I'd do to – yeah, it's 0.1, 0.2 seconds, and it comes back into frame. Yeah. Where it went, I don't know.
I kind of blame this thing on looking at screens our entire lives. So, right, like, if you look at a screen, once you have the full screen in view – you feel like I should see it.
Like I'm now entitled to see this dot. What is wrong with this thing? Like clearly this thing is malfunctioning, or I would see the dot.
Yeah.
I think that's right, because you feel like a little offended, like it's done you wrong.
Yeah.
It doesn't appear.
It's like I can see the whole screen. Why can't I see the dot? Like you're looking at it like it's a Game Boy. Like if I put the Game Boy and I don't have it tilted to the sun, like I should be able to see the full screen. And then you look at that thing and it's hidden.
I'm gonna chime in for Kenny because he's too nice to say it. But if he held the gun like a man, the dot wouldn't leave the screen.
Well, no, we're talking about finding it at the beginning. But how do you like it so far? Are you going back to production after the super shoot, or is this the new way of life?
I don't know. So when I got some new glasses, which look like my old glasses, except they have a slightly stronger prescription in them. But my new glasses, when I look at iron sights, they are I mean, my iron sights are getting a little fuzzier, because my prescription is getting stronger. So either I'm going to shoot with my old prescription in, so I can still see my irons a little bit better, or maybe this will be the start of my transition to CO. It was quite fun shooting with it. It was a riotous experience until the last stage, where like the heat and the fatigue set in. It was only 99 degrees out, and you're setting steel all day long, and it was a stage that like I've shot thousands of times. It was not that difficult. There were some moderately difficult shots, and I probably on 3 pieces of steel I probably shot a whole magazine. I probably shot 20 rounds at 3 pieces of steel, and I was just like, clearly I'm jerking the gun off the target. And then guess what? The RO was sitting back talking with his buddies instead of following me, so he didn't get the time.
Oh my gosh.
He was like, "Oh, I was 20 yards behind you when you finished." So because somebody was filming me with the GoPro, right? So he didn't want to crowd him, and then he just forgot that he was the RO and was just hobnobbing with his pals.
Reshoot. Did you do better?
So I got a reshoot, and I did like a second better. It went from like 41 seconds to 40 seconds or something. I mean, it was just nearly as terrible. And I'm like, yeah, the fatigue, and maybe these shots are a little more difficult, or maybe my skill level is dropping faster than.
Or was it the zero? Was it the zero of the gun?
No.
Were you shooting too high or too low? Or?
So after we cleaned the match up, I was like, hey, can I shoot? I did the Robert trick, and I shot a bunch of the rounds. All the coated rounds I picked up off the ground, and at a rock up on the berm, there's a rock. It's a 4-inch rock.
I'll tell you,
75 yards away. I hit the rock every shot. Like the dot is on.
The one thing is, you always do like the I'm gonna shoot the rock, and then you go shoot the rock, and you hit the rock, and then you print it on paper, and you're like 6 inches to the left and like 3 inches high, but the rock always catches it. It always catches it. I don't think the rock is a good metric to test if you're sighted on.
Yeah.
Because I was sitting out there, and I remember talking when I first bought this M&P, and I was talking to Dawson. I was like, hey, it's 2 inches low at 20 yards. And they're like, okay. And I was like, yeah, because I was mostly shooting 124s and 115s. And now that I have some 147s, it's 3 inches damn high. So, like, I wonder if, like, you have some load that was different from what you set it up, or is it all the same load? Were you shooting from the top of the dot? It's a big dot. It's 6.5 MOA. Who knows where it could have been?
No, it wasn't. It was nothing to do with the dot. The sights didn't move. It was me getting a little fatigued and losing trigger control. What little bit I have left. The other thing is that my Glock 34 has like the worst. The trigger's not as good as my 17. The 17 trigger I've not touched. It just came. Oh, I bought a pair of 17s, and then this is the one that has the best trigger. It's
Why
my
didn't you
match
just
gun.
put the 34 top end on then?
Well, I might do it, but the top end doesn't have the complete control of the trigger. Anyway, while you're talking, I will attempt that and see what happens.
Science, everybody. Science. Kenneth.
Nothing. I've done no shooting.
What?
Boo.
Boo.
The one thing I decided is I am for sure shooting limited at Utah State. I was going to shoot CO, and for sure decided I'm shooting limited. I'll have at least one of my limited guns prepared with them.
Well, those nice
production.
people at
Come on,
Precision
do it.
Holster sent you.
No, there's reason. I know, but there's reason I have to shoot limited. It's gonna
No,
happen.
I'm not
And I'll
saying
be-
Okay.
you have no responsibility to shoot that for Precision Holsters. I'm just saying get yourself a Glock 35, because at least if the front sight comes off, hear me out. The front sight comes on, you screw another one on. That's literally in between the stage. And if the barrel cracks, you could go to Walmart. I'm pretty sure they have replacement Glock 35 barrels at Walmart now. You could go get one of those.
Right
I
next
used
to the
shoot a
paintball
35,
supplies.
and my coworker has my old 35, so I can just like borrow it.
I
It still
think
feels the same way as when I owned it.
Butch, let me borrow my gun.
So.
You guys were right. The bottom end of the 17 with the 34 top end trigger feels great. So what do I got to do to my 34 to get the? What parts What parts can I buy for under $100 to just throw in my 34 and make the 5th gen 34 trigger a little better?
Shoot it as much as you shot your 30 as your 17.
just get a Lone Wolf connector on it. You could actually try to get. You could possibly put what? The striker spring is good because the trigger feels better on the bottom half. I'm not sure what else you would even want to put in it. You could put it.
Yeah, I mean the
trigger
connector's all I
return
can
really
think of.
you get time, fill the Walkies Timney triggers. Those new Timney triggers
Those are nice.
they're pretty
Yeah,
freaking awesome.
they're really nice until they stop working.
Listen.
Has somebody had that problem?
Oh,
Yeah.
just
Ken Chang.
Ken Chang's broken gun. The name of last week's episode because of the TBD trigger. One trigger to a great shooter in one match. What part hasn't broken to a great shooter, Kenny? None of them. All of them break.
They all break. Everything.
They all break. And remember, Robert, about trigger resets breaking.
And apparently, two not so great shooters, they also break.
I just remember watching that 2015 video of Robert at IDPA, regional, where his trigger return spring breaks, and he literally figures it out in only 88 seconds on the stage on how to manually reset his trigger and fire it. And then what was that one guy? That one guy on YouTube, we talked about putting a rubber band over the front of the trigger guard and behind the trigger,
Firepower United.
Yeah, so when your trigger return spring breaks, the rubber band pulls it forward at a reset so you can fire it again.
I saw that and I'm like, hey,
that's
problems
thinking.
Require modern solutions.
That's some gangsta stuff right there.
All right, Robert, what'd you do? You shot the armory, right?
So I shot the armory match, and that was fun. I shot carry optics because I think I'll be shooting that for the rest of the year, because why not? And it was a lot of fun. No, we had a great time. But I was hoping Kenny would show up, and then he told me that he didn't like me, which I add that to a long list of people.
None of this is true, but
but Kenny had something come up, so he couldn't come. But it was a light match. There was only 10 people. There was only 10 people there that night, which was a little unusual. I didn't know if it was just because everybody was kind of just hungover from the debacle that was Area 1, or they were dealing with Foley Gate or what. But it was interesting.
Speaking of Foley Gate, let's discuss. So the Knights of the Round Table convened, and what did they come up with, Robert?
So they had their emergency meeting, whatever. Exactly. They Area 2 filed a motion to remove Mike Foley, and it was seconded by Area 4, Chad Stanton. So Leighton, I don't know how to say his last name, but Leighton's Area 2, Chad Stanton's Area 4. They seconded it. He seconded it, and then Foley, I guess, passed, or he said, can we delay this until the 24th of August? So right before Area 8. So instead of everybody talking about Area 8 and how awesome that's going to be, now we're going to be talking about how Foley's been removed.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess the investigation's done, and Mike Foley put out a post on his face that somebody sent me basically saying that there's a minority in USPSA that are a bunch of, well, he didn't call them millennial fags, but I mean, he already said that a while back. But he said it was all cancel culture.
Oh, Robert, you set yourself up very well for that and executed it perfectly. Good job.
You were like a one-man volleyball team that executed a good spike. I mean,
bump, set, and spike.
But he went and put a post out saying, everybody needs to write their area director and tell them not to cancel Mike changes. Yeah, we want more rule changes, please.
Well,
and so
it was kind of funny because we got kind of that minutes thing, and I can't remember if it was the day Cuomo resigned or what, but I was just like, man, we're gonna go 2 for 2 here in a day, because the investigation was done. It's I just don't understand why they tabled it. Why table it for later? Everyone's there, and the other part too is you had a couple of the areas that.
So did they allow it to be tabled? Did the board allowed it to be tabled?
They did. They allowed it to be tabled
until when?
The 24th of August.
Well, okay.
I don't know exactly why.
In 9 days.
A couple days.
Okay.
Not entirely sure why, but
just delay. Isn't that everyone's tactic? Just delay.
And that's the thing is
maybe it gives him time to put up some sort of defense,
get people on his side.
And the funny thing is, I mean,
get everyone to call their area director, which is exactly what he did. It gave him time to lobby for people to call their area directors in his defense.
And I mean, and that's the hard thing.
I mean, none of us were there, so I don't know why anyone would be for or against. Only the people that were there and know the facts of the case or involved in the investigation should have an opinion on this, right? Because we weren't there.
No, because, well, the one thing is, like, we would all want him to be removed for other things that we weren't witness to. But it's just like, that was investigated. So whatever the investigation comes down to, the board needs to come do it. I mean, it's just like, yeah, I mean, like, you know, production got kidnapped. I almost feel like John Walsh on, you know, from America's Most Wanted. You know, your kid disappears in Florida once in a while. Like, that's what happened to production. But
well,
that wasn't what we're trying to get him out for. Kenny got the true crime jokes.
I think it's fair to say, honestly. I mean, yeah, we weren't there, and so all you can really say is you can take the 5 o'clock news shtick and say, allegedly these events happen, and if these events are shown to be true, then the board should take whatever actions necessary to preserve the integrity of the game.
Yeah, they should do it swiftly.
They should do it. They should very much do it.
Well,
swiftly.
the other part, the only thing I thought was kind of weird too was just in kind of those minutes how they were talking about what was it, the area coordinator for Washington or for up there anyway, what area 2 or whatever.
Washington's Bruce Gary. He's ours. He's A1.
Yeah. So about them not wanting to have it recorded on video because Washington's a one-party state. So it's like we don't want to record video. It's like why do I want to elect people who don't want to have like a public record or at least a video form of what's going on?
They don't want to allow him to use that against them.
Oh, that's right, because everyone's getting sued after this. Good point.
Yeah, and if the alleged threats by the alleged president are true, but if they're true, then he's gonna do the classic, counter accuse and play that game out. Yeah. And so I could understand why people would be like, all we want is actual black and white meeting minutes, and that's all you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Well, I understand that.
The only thing that you guys need to understand about this issue is eventually you're just going to vote him in. You understand? You understand where we're going? That's what we're doing.
It's only a matter of time.
It's only a matter of time. Listen. Think of this. Think of USPSA as Eddie Brock and Yi Min as Venom. It's a symbiotic relationship. It has to happen. He's not the hero we want. He just might be the hero we need. Yi Min for USPSA president.
He's the hero I want.
He's the hero we deserve.
And if you deserve nice things, head over to DominateDefense.com. Use promo code PARA10 and get a fantastic belt, possibly the best belt ever made for your USPSA and shooting needs. And also for your concealed carry needs. They are so nice. It is so nice not having a buckle. Sometimes I'm like massaging my back, laying on my stomach on a box, massaging my back. And it's nice not having that buckle there to push in on me while I'm laying on my stomach with my massage gun. Fantastic product. DominateDefense.com, PARA10. Get yourself the best belt in the industry. And also head on over to GallonBullets.com and use promo code PEWPRO10 and save 10% off your email's first order. That's GallonBullets.com. Use promo code PEWPRO10. All right, also, you can head on over to Telegram where you can join our little club and get some ask us direct questions and all that jazz. Send us videos. You can do all that stuff on telegram.com. Not telegram.com, whatever the app. You know how to use it. Get your people's phone numbers. It's all fun in the good. All that stuff, Patreon, you know what to do there. Go, Robert.
All right, from Mr. Dirk Hopkins. I'm looking for recommendations for a good place to bury/hide mother-in-law's body.
The berms at Slipsaw.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's happening.
No, because
soft dirt.
A couple years ago when they found that dead body, yeah, that just got awkward for everybody.
I forgot about that. I was scrolling, Instagram Reels. So I don't really post on Instagram, but my daughter and my wife got me scrolling the Reels, just checking what's out there in the internet land. And this guy comes up, he goes, listen, if you have to bury a body, bury it 8 feet deep, and then bury a dead animal on top of it at 4 feet deep. So when the dogs hit off it, they'll find the dead body. And I was just like, These are life hacks. Like,
Good.
think,
No. I've
Think
actually
of,
thought
like-
about this.
I
And
mean,
I've
the
thought about
West
this a
Desert
lot.
worked with Susan Powell, so.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she's in the West Desert, Kenny. I
Have you
think.
seen some of those damn caves, Tom?
No, I know
If
this.
she's in one, nobody's finding
Kenny,
her.
but he had like 13 hours, 14 hours. Was it like 2 a.m. to like 7 p.m. the next day? Listen, this is how you create an alibi. You go put the body somewhere else, and then you get seen a lot way the F away. It's just like, where were you at? Like, you ever see Logan Lucky? It's like, where were you at? We were in prison. How could we rob the Coca-Cola 500? We were still in prison, you maniac. You never set the alibi near where the body could be. I bet you she's up the other direction, drops her off there, buries her there, heads over the West Desert, makes sure he's seen over the West Desert, and then he goes down south. He's everywhere. He's
I don't think so,
everywhere.
Tom. His kid even said it.
His kids were like 3 at the time, like 4 and like
Doesn't
2.
mean they're retarded. I mean, when they say
No.
mom was in the desert, I mean.
No. But if I tell my kid a story that she flew when she was 2 years old for 10 years, guess what's going to happen? She's going to tell somebody that she actually flew when she was 2 years old. Kenny, why don't you listen to some quality true crime while you're sitting there?
Have you listened to that?
Derek, don't listen to this guy. He's only a grandmaster in USPSA. Don't listen to him.
Go out to the West Desert, grab some rocks, drop them, and let me know when you actually hear it hit the ground. And
Oh, yeah, there's
All
no
right.
doubt. There's no doubt.
They are so deep.
The problem is you got to get that body
You know what,
into
Tom?
a
I think
position.
me and you need to go to the West Desert tomorrow.
Fine,
Let's go.
Kenny.
Just me
Fine.
and you.
I'll tell you what we're gonna do. We'll play.
Leave your
It's
phone at
really
home.
screwing your alibi, man.
We're gonna play a game of war, and the winner gets to choose who goes in the cave. Because I just might want to kill myself after it. All right, here we go.
From Mr. David, the humble marksman Blanton, do you think Foley's growth of USPSA is because of or in spite of relationship? What are some achievements you can lay at Foley's feet that aren't having the social awareness of a drunk hillbilly in a Walmart? Seriously, throw out some positives that Foley can take credit for.
Website.
Oh, he's got 2 parts, so we'll
Yeah.
answer this one, then we'll do the next one.
Website's way better.
The classification system updating more than once a month. That's admittedly good. I think PCC was actually a positive. The way he actually white papered it. I mean, DNROI effed it up, but his initial white paper and the video that he presented for it actually had PCC as a viable division.
Anybody else? Is that it? Is that all we have?
I mean, I'm sure he's done plenty of things right. Like the organization seems financially better suited.
Yeah, but the way he removed Kim was somewhat costly to the organization. So
Okay, I don't know about anything about that, but it seems like the organization is running better and more professionally than it was prior to him. So kudos for that. That doesn't mean you can run around and mouth off at people and
yeah.
Yeah.
He seems intelligent. He lets his emotions get in the way.
Yeah.
And then let's see. With a void in leadership, who should fill it? What should their USPSA experience be? What should their life experience be? How important is vision versus ability to execute for a chief executive?
I think they should love the game, first and foremost. I think they should be at every area match. And another thing that's really near and dear to my heart is that their name starts with a vowel and that they're middle-aged and Asian. Those are the big things that I hold dear for a USPSA president.
and they need to be a Marine.
You need to listen to music on your walkthrough.
It would help. It would help. I mean, in all seriousness, it would actually help if the president actually ran a club. I mean, like longer than like a little while. Somebody who actually ran a reasonable sized club, because I think if you do that, it gives you a really good insight as to what the clubs truly need.
Yes. Well, and the other thing is too is like I've been around Yeeman 5 or 6 times and seen him operate in matches and stuff like that, and I've never known him to have any character traits that have gotten the current president into trouble.
The problem is that people can have nice character traits and be great friends, but be terrible leaders of organizations and have no vision and just have rotten people around them doing rotten jobs, and nobody cares in the classifier system. The things just
Yep.
sit in a state of disrepair. So being a nice guy just doesn't carry all the way. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well, the problem is. Go ahead, Robert.
I was going to say, I think one of the things you really have to look at from the people who want to run organizations are they going to be like a caretaker president, or are they going to be an activist president? I mean, an activist president is going to go out there and be like, I'm going to change all these things. I mean, we're going to get rid of all this, that, and the other. The problem with doing that, obviously, is you're going to anger some people while you make other people happy. So you have to balance that out. A caretaker president is just going to get in there and they're just going to ride it for the next 4 years or whatever and be like, well, we'll just let things go. And you look back and you're like, well, what did you actually do for the organization? Well, I took up space for 4 years.
Yeah.
And I think one of the hardest things about being the head of an organization is there are a lot of things that happen inside that organization that have to happen and are not sexy and are required to actually make that organization work. Most people never see any of that. But it's easy for everybody who's running for president to be like, well, I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to get rid of like flashlights and make it a level 1 exemption only or something like that. And you're like, okay, fine. But what experience do you actually have leading an organization in those areas where a person actually has to do all the stuff that isn't really fun and it's not talked about?
And honestly, as far as the back end part of USPSA, it at least seems that over the past 4 years, it's been reasonably well taken care of.
I think
the thing that angers us, the thing that angers me is what I would call radical rule changes. The doing away with the bylaws that require the delays.
Agreed.
The putting things before the membership and yes, those things are a good idea. To just wipe that out and get whatever you want done immediately, that's a bad idea.
You didn't want 90 days for them to ruin your life, Steve. You would rather just have. I like if you're going to ruin my life, I would like you to just do it overnight. I would like to think that my division changes next weekend.
I think that kind of behavior, but that also falls on the board too, because Mike Foley can't do that by himself. He had to have a lot of people cooperate with him. So that all kind of angers me, and now that I'm pissed, I just want everyone to get fired.
I think what you've seen in the past couple years or so is you started to see people with your exact opinion, Steve, of why is the board doing these things, and you've seen board directors who essentially are caretakers. They're there because, I think A1 is there because Foley asked him to come back. And, but you've seen some of these area directors who are now getting in. They are actually shooters. They're actually people who show up at matches. They're showing up at matches. They're running matches. They travel to matches. These are the people that you really want running organizations. That's why people like Leighton and Chad are so impressive to me. I know those two. That's why I speak of them. I don't know the other ones nearly as well, but they are actually shooters. And so when something comes up and says, hey, we're going to make a change to the rules, this, that, and the other, those two at least consider how it's going to affect all of us as shooters.
Right on.
And I think that's what you want. Those are the guys that I think are really doing a good job. That's why I think Matt Hopkins as Area 3 could be so useful as the Area 3 director, because he's another shooter. Well, he's somebody who actually cares. And if he decides to run for president, which I think he is, and he gets in there, then Area 3 potentially is going to have another essentially caretaker area member who isn't going to do anything.
Well, one thing is too is like you got to have. You can have people who want to make changes in the sport, who want to make radical changes or rule changes, and I don't think anyone's really like you can be opposed to those, but we need people who have the principles to stand on procedure, and not just go like, hey, there is a possible big paycheck for us, and the membership doesn't like it, but it could bring in a lot of sponsors and a lot of money to USA, and
that's
so
the funny
there
thing,
you go.
Is the board doesn't make any money. It's in the bylaws. They actually don't get paid.
Well, I know that. I'm not saying for them, but I'm saying for the sport. So, like, people, there's a, I don't know and where this comes from. There's a big push to make our sport more professional and commercially sellable as, entertainment.
Yeah,
Well,
I think the people who want that have delusions of grandeur, and they speak of these things like USPSA is this great hidden gem that everybody's going to want to do, instead of, let's be honest, it's kind of like middle age, certain
Yeah.
demographic of people who have a certain amount of disposable income,
It's less
and
accessible
they,
golf.
yeah, I mean, and it's like, that's all this game will ever be. And they're like, well, if we put cameras and this, that, and the other all over the place, and it's like, cool, let's try that.
Yeah,
And
well,
then you're like, well, who are we gonna market it to? Like the Outdoor Channel?
yeah, it's like, well, who's going to be on it? Well, and the other thing too, it's like, well, and it's on an international scale, it's mostly illegal everywhere. So you're like, oh, okay, and it's politically not feasible for even half of the U.S. population. So anyway, Kenny, your thoughts?
In the really quick, in the United States, you'd have to get rid of the USPSA targets if you wanted it to be sellable. You'd have to go to IPSC.
Yeah.
I was saying it's interesting because the presidents before Foley were shooters, right? Strader and Voight were shooters, and people didn't want that this last time, right? They wanted a businessman. That's why Foley even got elected, because he said everything you said, Tom. He wanted it on TV and all this crap, and maybe people realized a businessman isn't what was best, because when it was under Voight and Strader, it wasn't that bad. Yeah, maybe it didn't grow like it did under Foley, but I don't know if the growth has been all perfect.
Well, I mean, under Strader, I mean, you had the accounting issue, which was suboptimal.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's apparently Phil put out some post on his social media page, with a picture of him saying "Miss me yet?"
Well, the one thing too is like, well, didn't Strader like put his wife in a paid position in USPSA, like a pointer,
No, I
like
don't
do
know.
like his. Anyways, what do you want, guys? Like you can't control everybody, so you get what you get.
Nobody will be happy with anything. They were happy with shooters' presence, and now there's some people that unhappy with businessmen.
It's like
Well, that's like kind of a good point, though. I mean, like, no matter what you do, you're gonna anger somebody, and so fundamentally, I mean, yeah, we want people in there who actually care about shooting, but you also want people in there who actually have a keen understanding of what is required.
Well, it's just like anything else. It's like, we want a businessman. We need to run this country more like a business. And then you get Trump, and then it's just like, we want a diplomat. We can't have this guy running his mouth everywhere. And then like inflation goes up, and people are like, I don't want to pay $3.77 for gas. So it's,
We don't know what we want, but we don't like the current situation.
well, the problem is that you never get Jesus in the role you would like him, like, as there's like, oh, and he's perfect, and he's going to do this. It's like, actually, he has character flaws that may have gotten him here. It's like, oh, okay. Anyways, next question.
From Sebastian Munoz, not so much a question, but I totally agree. Yeeman for president.
Yep, there you go.
Yep.
We've started a movement. It's officially a movement. Get the posters out.
From Dirk Hopkins, also, can you schedule a show where we have all the presidential candidates for interviews when the time comes? I'm wondering if he's thinking like kind of like Thunderdome, where all the presidential candidates go into a giant like room, and then they just like kill each other till one comes out.
Oh, I have a much better idea. We let Yeeman and everyone else come on, and then we disconnect everybody else. Like, my goal in life, like, if we can get some posters out to everybody, I would like Yeeman to be written in the city council election, because people think that's what he's actually running for. I would like so much awareness around his name that he gets put into races he's not even running in. So that's what I would like. Speaking of the thing, we had to vote for our city council.
Wait,
And-
we never. Oh,
Go ahead, Steve.
we never answered Dirk's first question. Didn't you have a mother-in-law question?
Where do you put the body?
Well, it's really easy.
Oh,
I've
we did
actually
answer
thought
that.
long.
The 8 feet and then the
I
animal.
know,
Animal on top.
Okay, so there you go, Dirk.
It's not so much the animal. What you do is you bury them down, and then you get a bunch of like endangered species like vegetation, and you plant that.
Oh,
on the
and then
body,
they can't
because
dig.
then if anybody ever digs it up, it's a federal crime.
And you do it in a wetland.
Yeah, huh?
Yeah. Well, one thing is, like, the problem is that you got to drive around, you figure out somebody's pouring a foundation the next day, then you dig that down about 6 feet and then have them pour the
You
foundation.
Jimmy Hoffa him.
And then you just, like, you're not getting that. No dog smelling that. It's set in stone.
Well, there you go.
Literally set in stone.
But,
Okay, you were electing your city council when I cut you off.
Electing their city council is like, you read the reviews, it's like they don't take any stands on things. Like, I'll make the right decisions. I'll make I'll make the right choices with tough decisions. Is like opposed to what? Making like effing up an easy one? Like what kind of thing is that supposed to be, jackass? Moving on. Oh. Anyways.
Let's see, from Baron Lantern. So you got your spouse out shooting one time. How do you get them to levels and possibly carrying?
So you go out there and you shoot, they practice, and they can kind of get that. One, generally they're not interested in having a bunch of different guns. So get a gun that's most likely shootable and comfortable for them to shoot, Glock 19 size or something. Whatever it is that they actually want and feel comfortable and are proficient with shooting. And then two, they have to pick their carry method. I know you might not like off-body carry, like in a purse or something like that, but like those are the things that you have to let go because you would rather like have them have the gun than not have the gun at all. And so that's what I would do. And for women, it's a lot harder. They have a lot shorter space between their armpits and their hips. So even when you put a gun on there, it rides up super high. Generally, they're set up and their hips are set up a way that the guns dig in a lot more. A lot of their clothes aren't conducive to having a solid 1.5-inch belt from Dominate Defense. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on that is not good for on-body carry, and then you start getting into the smaller guns, which they don't enjoy shooting. So I think most is like find a gun that they're proficient with and then let them choose their carry method. And then if they want to change it from there, let them change it from there.
I think your best hope is to make the experience as pleasant as possible. Do whatever you can to make them comfortable and have fun at the range.
Shots
before you head out on the range.
It's literally, it's every time there's a shot. So it's like douche. 3 shots in, it's already a good time.
And then the other thing is there are just a lot of women there's a lot of people, period, that just aren't going to carry and aren't going to become shooters no matter how much you like it. And because it's your hobby doesn't mean it's going to become your best friend's hobby or your wife's hobby. You don't have much control over that.
Let me grab Donitza's purse real quick. Discuss amongst yourself another topic that's not this.
Donitza's purse, is that where your balls are?
Ooh. Yeah.
He wasn't there to hear that one.
Hey, babe, can I have my balls back?
Hey, babe, do you have that little sack? It's like when I bought my first Prius, I went to Portland and it says, and I heard it has that little fur pouch up front, which you can keep your balls in it when you're driving your Prius. It's like a good one.
I'm kind of curious how they're going to try and change the tax base to basically capture all the lost revenue for all the electric and hybrid cars that they mandated. I'm convinced that one's coming.
Well, the gas tax hasn't gone up in like 35 years or something. It was like in the 87 the last time the gas tax was raised.
Well, that was the funny thing though, right? I mean, they create this tax to make people pay for the roads, but then at the same time they also mandate that cars get more fuel efficient, and so
which was great until there was alternative fuels, until you start using, so fine, good on you if you're using less gas, you pay less tax. But now there are cars out there that don't use any gas.
And they're like, whoa, we're the government.
Wait a minute.
Okay, we want our money.
We need our revenue to build roads and stuff.
Are we talking about them screwing me out of Bitcoin and all my other cryptocurrencies?
Yeah, what happened to your Bitcoin? Did you get hacked?
No, I didn't get hacked. My Bitcoin shot up Bitcoin went up $10,000 because the government decided here's a currency that we have no right getting into and we're going to tax the hell out of it. Anyway, off-body carry. So this is a purse that company Falco that made my leather holster. Here's my wife's purse. Yeah. It's got, whatever your purse has, like magnets, nice things. But on the back it has this little zipper, so you can attach this thing. And what happens is you pull that. I don't want to pull it too far. And then inside, she has her Glock 19 with a spare mag. And so it's a completely hidden pouch in there. And so
make sure that thing's empty. Don't have a desk pop.
Yeah. So it has the holster there and you can tighten it and then whatever, but it's a completely separate compartment for the gun. And so they run you about $100 and they're like wonderfully made, like fantastic zippers. And so it's just
get one of those for Mercedes so she can take that to high school.
Yeah, it's just they have ones that are fit laptops and everything on them. So it's just an excellent little purse, but you have it on one side, and then you can buy this extended thing for like $3. And then so when you literally need it, you secure the purse, pull it, and then it opens up. And then I believe you can even get stops for the zippers, so you can't engage it so it opens all the way up if you don't want it. But they're fantastic purses. So whatever gets them to carry. So
thanks a lot, Alex. I know you're sending messages right now.
Oh my gosh, what's he doing
Alex,
now?
want a Smith & Wesson.
No, whatever. No one wants a Smith & Wesson. Believe me, I don't want mine. You can have mine now. I'm done. Anyways, we got any more?
Yeah, a couple. Actually, also from Alex. Do you like 115, 124, 135, or 147 grain 9mm?
Yes.
Yes.
I would say, well, it's kind of harder now because the material that the bullet is made of makes a big difference. When you get to the heavier side, they can be made out of anything. Like they can be made out of lead, but the velocity window that you're trying to push these bullets out definitely changes it. Now, if we're talking about defensive ammo or filled metal jacket ammo, I don't care. Like 115 grain screaming out of a Glock at like 1250, like some hollow point. I'm cool with that. That sounds pretty legit. So
I like a 15. Or
a 15 grain.
Well, that joke all went badly.
It's just like an airsoft tracer that punches through everybody. Like, goodness.
That wasn't a bump set spike, Robert. That was a bump and off the court.
That was
you lose some.
That was a bump. Your drawstring on your pants coming down, them falling around your waist, and then you just planting your you-know-what in the sand.
That would have been the memory stage at Area 3.
But so you see some stuff that's kind of cool too. Is like there's even lighter stuff. Like you have some of that Lehigh defense stuff, which is just
don't do any of that
that's
stuff.
That's that 90 grain
like
coming out
of
2,000
feet per second. 24 inches of penetration in gel. Like you have a whole list of things that you can actually sit there and shoot, and so it honestly determines on what you want to shoot at and the velocity envelope that you're trying to hit. So,
well, it's like somebody once said, I mean, there are graveyards filled with dead bodies put there by the lowly 45 and 9mm.
Oh, yeah. And let's face it,
I mean, that ball ammo is pretty effective.
Yeah. It's kind of one of these things is like, you can dictate exactly what you want, but that doesn't mean that you're basically playing with 2 to 3 to 4% more effective than just anything else. So honestly,
shooting somebody with a pistol is suboptimal to begin with.
Yeah,
it's not great.
But you
shoot them with a rifle if you really want to do something.
The one thing with bullet weight is mainly, is it set to where your gun's going to impact? Because it does make a change.
That is true.
So
and to be fair, I mean some of that defensive ammo. What's that weird guy on YouTube? Paul Harrell or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an odd duck. There's no doubt about it. But I mean, he did make a point. I was watching one of his videos. And he made a point that some ammo some defensive ammo, all 124 grain hollow point isn't the same, and some of them will print better or worse with your particular firearm. And so it's worth your time to go figure out what actually is going to be the most accurate with yours. And then if that's the case, I would tend to use it.
Yeah.
If you like it, I mean. He's a goofy dude, but still.
The one good thing is like, and Steve's probably realized this with the dot gun, is like the dot is the perfect device for all ammunition types. Mm-hmm. You just turn the screw. What am I shooting today? Turn the screw. Hey, I just got this new load. Let me knock off, fit another front sight on this thing, make sure it's centered, and then go for it.
That's why you have adjustable sights.
We're living in the golden age.
From Ron Davison, what's the most likely cause of a light primer strike in a 320 X5 Legion? It's a 320 X5 Legion. Next question from Eric Sayo.
I will actually answer this because remember when I got that M17 and Steve beat me at the Super Shoot because I had light strikes like crazy in my M17. So no.
Yeah, shoot that gun again, Tom.
No, that's sold. That's sold. So light strikes on there you can definitely have. So it's a precock striker. So it's very hard to not have enough travel distance on a precock striker. So you can have a striker spring. You can also have a problem with it actually defeating the firing pin block. And then if you run into other malfunctions like on those gun, the extractors.
Are you sitting on a bouncy ball?
Steve,
Yes,
if you watch the YouTube,
sitting on the bouncy ball.
If you watch the YouTube, you will see. Here's the things you can expect from Steve Koski: pants or no pants. How many times will he adjust the Varidesk? Standing down, sitting down. So it's like he's literally with this camera on his laptop. It's like he's shooting a Stanley Kubrick movie, and it's Space Odyssey. You start seeing the freaking desk rising up, and then it's like, well, I want to sit down. It's lowering back down.
Okay, just for YouTube. Here it goes. On your way up. Sorry, Robert. I realized when I lowered it earlier, that really sucked for you to edit that out. But I'm sure you won't edit it out. So
I'm not editing squat.
And now he can stand.
Sorry, everybody. I'm standing.
Yep. Now he's standing. I don't even know what we're talking about.
I took this desk home from work, and then about a week later, I thought, I should tell them I took this desk home before I get fired.
When the boss comes by, he goes, no, I thought I missed the order day when you guys sent those. Are you sure? I think one of the employees stole one. I think Janet took two.
I mean, this was a desk that's been there for 4 years and nobody's ever used. I'm sure nobody misses it. But still, in full disclosure, I did take it without permission.
It's full disclosure to a third party. Listen, I confessed it to my priest. It's not my fault you guys didn't have a conversation with him. I said it on YouTube, on a little YouTube channel. What were we talking about? Who cares? Next question. Oh, light primer strikes. Precock striker. Firing pin block or striker, your primers are set.
The best way to solve it is get rid of the SIG. SIG sucks.
Do they have striker channel problems like a Glock? If you get oil in your striker channel, it can slow the striker down?
They might have. So someone might oil it. Just pull that whole channel out, pull it out, put a new striker spring on it. If you still have problems and your ammunition's good, and you're not using, like, listen, I know times are tough. If you're using small rifle primers, they might not go off.
I do not get this. Like, everybody's like, don't use small rifle primers. Don't use small rifle primers. Don't use small rifle primers. I use small rifle primers all the time. You know why? Because then I don't have to buy small pistol primers.
Yes, but you have a CZ.
You also shoot a hammer-fired gun.
You shoot a hammer-fired gun that has some mass behind it. It has the mass of the hammer and the mass of the firing pin.
So what does this tell you, kids? Get a hammer-fired gun.
There's a reason.
11s will knock them off also, my Glock won't.
There's a reason that in the Cold War...
I have seen your Glock, and I think there's like two little coils of a spring that actually is like pushing that thing forward.
Kenny's got one of those Glock triggers where you remove the tab safety and the trigger falls back by itself. That's how bad it is. That's how it's set it up.
It's perfectly safe. Perfectly safe.
You go here. You Kenny, remove that, it fires.
When you say perfectly safe, you're supposed to go like this. Perfectly safe. You got to get those air quotes in there.
Perfectly safe. It's only had like 280s.
He brings it to the Glock match, and the armorer literally takes it and drops it into a bucket of cement. No, sir. We can't give this back. Yeah, clean the channel, striker springs. If you're still having the problem, then it's probably going to be a firing pin block issue.
How glad are you that none of you wasted your time and money and went and shot Area 1, the worst Level 2 USPSA match ever? Yes. I know that Area 1 was the Level 3. Yeah, apparently, like, Area 1, let me put it this way. Sherwin and his Carnival match was pumping the air because his match wasn't as crappy as Area 1. That's pretty much how I understand.
What were the main complaints?
This match, and I just don't like. You should have saw it with how shitty they were controlling registration and everything. You should have saw that the match wasn't going to be any better.
Yeah, I mean they lost 2 stages.
The writing was on the wall.
What was crappy about it? 2 stages got tossed.
They lost 2 stages. They had 2 classifiers, like 2 actual classifiers in the match, which is kind of janky. There was more than a couple stages that they probably would have been equally represented at an IDPA match. Shoot this stuff from a box. Run over here. Shoot from this box.
Okay, so no options.
Shoot from this box. Then run back and shoot it. I mean, I get it if you're trying to do like a standards at an indoor match, because that's exactly what I did. But
not in an area match.
At an area match.
Yeah. I mean, you can maybe have one. You can maybe have one stage like that, but ideally not.
The big monorail stage that was supposed to be kind of the coup de grace for the whole match. there was scoring discrepancies because of the way they were running the practice score in the AMG labs, and supposedly they got it to work, but maybe they didn't.
I'm always.
I know. All I know is that by then they had lost 2 stages, and I have a feeling that they were going to be damned if they lost a third at an area match. And yeah.
So I have a question for you, Robert. You're RM, right? Or going in the program?
I'm getting out of the program, but yeah, go ahead.
I have a question for you, seriously. On that monorail stage, they start the match, no lube on the track, dry track. That's it, right?
You toss the stage.
Okay, but halfway through the match, it's not working, they lube the track.
Well,
is that not a change? Did that not change how the track rolls?
No, that's 100% a change.
Okay, now I'm looking for you. Now it rains like a motherfucker, and it won't roll, so they put wood underneath the back of the track. Did that not change the stage?
To lift it up?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Did that not change how it works?
Of course it does.
Okay, now another question for you. When you go to arbitrate the stage and they tell you none of that's arbitratable, I just want to know, like, what rule book were these dumbasses following? Yeah. I got called while I was camping for this, and I got called and someone was bitching about it, and I was like, I wouldn't be there. I'll just have my money. I'm out.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing. I mean, there is one point where depending on if the person shot it already, at that point you can't arbitrate it, which we know that's a rule. That we get that. But if you come into it and you say, like, this isn't fair, and I haven't shot it, and they say, well, you can't arbitrate that, then they're absolutely wrong. The rules specifically allow for that. Now they will say, well, the staff can take whatever measures necessary to essentially keep the stage running, but they can't go and change it so that it's no longer the same stage as presented to the people who shot it previously. There's things like putting bags on targets. Okay, that's kind of act of God stuff, yeah. And you can't arbitrate that. That's valid. But when they go and they change it so that potentially the sled is potentially running at a different speed, and how do you calibrate it unless you put the same exact guy on there and you send them?
Yep.
It's not.
Yeah, Area 1 in Oregon, they had one of those as well, and I thought it was very interesting because they started it ran dry the entire time, but after every shooter they ran a rag up the track, and I was like, look, that's perfect. They kept literally the exact same every shooter. There was no lube, no nothing. It was dry, but they ran a rag up the track every shooter. Wow. Just wiping the dust and everything off.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. And there's a rumor going around that they actually didn't give they're supposed to give a stipend to all the ROs that work. To thank you for coming to your match. We're going to cover your hotel fee, stuff like that. Kind of a stipend. It's not much. There's a rumor going around that they denied the stipend to 2 of the ROs.
Because their stage got tossed, right?
Because their stage got tossed.
Yeah, I heard that as well.
Yeah. And so.
Well, that's not their fault. That's not their stage.
Yeah.
They're like, well, your stage got tossed, and so you obviously weren't working, so we don't have to pay you. Well, that's kind of BS, because at that point, I mean, the people have already paid for the hotel. They've already paid for the travel. It's a fixed cost. The match directors have already figured that into the accounting of the match. So what does it say about the match directors if they're like saying, oh yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. RO, we're not going to give you what we promised we'd give you. Good luck, go home, and find your own way home.
Was there like clear misbehavior? Did these ROs just like totally...
From what I heard is the ROs used their First Amendment, and that wasn't okay with the match directors.
Oh,
use their First Amendment. Which...
They spoke up about how shitty the stages and stuff were. I get it. And how bad the match was run.
Yeah.
And then they denied him. Hey, Kenny, I found out a good way to replicate your trigger on the Glock. So you pull the slide back, kids, and then when you just move this little dingus thing out of the way, it fires instantly. That's exactly like Kenny's triggers. See? You just need the beginning trigger. Just move that, falls back. There you go.
Well, if you want fast splits, that's...
Fast splits. That's how you get it. Timney?
Well, see, you go on wish.com, and they have this little dongle that you put on the back of the Glock, and it's got a little switchy thing, and you just hold the trigger down. Totally solves it.
It's good for build drills. Well, it's good for splits. It's good for the time on your build drills.
Didn't you get a box of those, Tom? You're going to mail one to me and one to Robert and one to Kenny?
The auto sears? No, not yet. Now that
Matches.
the ATF is cracking down on even
Oh,
semi-automatic
man.
triggers.
Apparently the who's it? This company, Rare Breed Triggers out of Florida.
Yes.
Like, dude, I'm not kidding you. I had like this was a month ago. Like I had the thing in my shopping cart, and it was like the credit card info all entered. Everything is on, and I'm like, uh, I don't really need this, and I just canceled it. Dang it, I'm pissed off that I canceled that now.
Well,
Because apparently it's a machine gun.
the one thing is too is like now you're on the list. Now they're gonna come see you. I was listening to FPS Russia.
I have been on the list for so long. I'm not exactly concerned at this point. Let me put it this way: there's a reason I don't have a dog, and it's not because I don't like them.
He's invisible now. I was listening to Kyle on FPS, the old FPS Russia. And, he went to prison for distributing marijuana, like asking his girlfriend if she wanted some pot. But anyway, he had hundreds of class 3 firearms, and he would say what a terror the audits would be, because they would literally go up as like, we know you have these weapons. Where's this one? And he'd be like running through his mind, where's this? What is it? And then they hear a description and it'd be like, it's a fully automatic like M4, and he goes, it's in my closet. He goes, no, it's not. We searched your closet. It's not there. And then he'd go up and reach between a pair of pants and pull out this fully automatic M4. Here it is. There's it. I'm not in trouble. And then he said that one of them, he had all the paperwork for a 20 millimeter rifle that the guy had not even finished building. So the ATF was like, where's this rifle? He goes, oh, I had it built. The guy sent me all the paperwork, but I'm not in possession of it. And the ATF was like, who's this guy? And the ATF called him up and was like, he needs this rifle. You have 2 weeks to get him that rifle. So it even helped him out at one point getting his custom gun, because the ATF was breathing down the other guy's neck. But he was like, it's terrifying. Like, if they can't find it and you can't remember it, then it's like, well, it's time for federal prison.
I just gotta say though, I mean, how BS is it that our own government will send us to prison, and yet they went and left like millions and millions of dollars in Afghanistan for the Taliban just to pick up. Well, we go to jail.
At one point, it's like, what do you leave? So you leave a bunch of Humvees. Okay, like, hopefully they're not up armored. Hopefully anything that's worth, like, don't leave scuttle anything you can. But it's like,
I heard somebody say this, and it's like so true. But they're like, if the United States saw what the United States is doing in the United States would invade the United States to liberate the United States from the tyranny of the United States. And I'm like, yeah, that's totally correct.
The one thing about the Afghan problem is just one of these things. It's like, you don't want anybody who shouldn't have it to have it. The problem is like, it took us 20 years to get all that stuff over there, and like, it's very hard to get all that stuff back. And some of that stuff is you don't even think it's worth back.
$2 trillion training the Afghan army, and those mother effers are just like,
meh,
we're good. We're not going to fight for any of this stuff. And meanwhile, you have Joe Biden. He's like, oh yeah, the Afghan army, they're totally going to fight for this, and the Taliban's not going to be able to roll in. And then, like, a week later, it's like, do you guys want the keys, or should we just leave them on the front desk?
Well, it's just sad. Well, it's sad for everybody. Like, there's no winners in it. We spend a bunch of time and treasure over there. We got people who are basically going to be oppressed by the Taliban forever. And it's just like, and the Taliban got killed and whooped on and bombed for 20 years. So it's just like, it's just one of those things. But it's like what we were talking about with the USPSA president. You're never going to get exactly what you asked for. There's just too many variables. Life's too complicated. But what's not complicated is download, listening, and subscribing to this podcast. You can do it everywhere. So head on over there. Go to your iTunes. Go to your Google Play. Do whatever you want there. But do that. We would like to thank you guys for listening and all that jazz for 304 episodes. What a crazy ride this has been. Isn't it nuts? 304 episodes. And now we're missing every other week because we have everything going on in life.
I mean, how cool is it that we've been around so long at this point that we've now seen other podcasts start, do better than us, and quit?
It's best. It's the best. It's the best.
Suck it, losers.
It's like being.
That's why attrition is awesome. Because eventually we just win. We're like the Taliban of podcasting.
Yeah. Well, it's like the punk band Rancid, who's been around since like 1992, and like there's all these other punk bands that got bigger and then went down, and then they just put out records forever, and some of them are good, some of them aren't great, but they have this song called "Last One to Die." It's like. It's like you're still in it. You're just the last one to go. So that's how you win a battle royale video game. Is you're just the last ones to live. So, anyways, thanks for downloading. Thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks to Steve Koski, Robert White, and Kenny Taylor for joining us. I'm Tom Nelson, bidding you peace, love, and soul as we depart into the open waters of the Sea of Life on a little tugboat we like to call the PARAcast. And Jaeger works. I want my slide.
You guys suck.
No, they don't suck. They're overdone and they're understaffed.
ATEI. You guys suck. You guys passed my slide for, let's see, April, May, June, July. Oh, it's August now.
The fun thing is when I'm like, so Friday night I was out super late, like I punched out like 8:30 at night, and I'm up in Heber, and I'm like driving down. I'm like, I just need a dinner. Pull into the McDonald's because it's got a big parking lot. Pull on the inside dining door. Nope. Locked. Short-staffed. Can only run the drive-thru. All right, go to Wendy's next door. Pull on it. Locked. Short-staffed. And I'm just like, I got Taco Bell and I got Burger King and I got Beto's and I only got so much break time left. It's like, I'm going to go to the burritos. Open the door. No air conditioning, boiling hot, just 3 Hispanics out there just working just working hard. And the lady's like, what can I get you? Grilled chicken burrito, my ma'am, and a Juarito soda. And she's like, $11.99. I'm like, God bless this country. Pop it. Slam it down. Anyways, bye. You guys say your outros.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Good night, everybody.
Choo-choo.